What's going on? It's the RapNerd, and I just got back from seeing 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, and this is a direct sequel to 2025's 28 Years Later. Now, this one picks up right where that one left off, where Spike was saved by the Jimmy gang, and in a weird turn of events, he ends up joining this gang on a journey of slaughter and just ruthless killing led by the head Jimmy, played by Jack O'Connell. And on the other side of the map, you have Dr. Ian doing this Dr. Ian thing as he did in 28 Years Later. And that's vague because I don't want to spoil anything, because what he's doing is a big factor in this movie, so I'm leaving that for you to see. And eventually these two groups cross paths in this apocalyptic, infected-filled world. Now, I was one that really enjoyed 28 Years Later. I know people had gripes with it because it wasn't really the traditional zombie film, and it was more of a coming-of-age film with Spike having to deal with the grips of his mother dying and his dad, being not the best father at all, and him having to find his own way. But I did enjoy it because it was a nice spin. And here we are with the sequel, where it's not particularly a traditional zombie movie either, and it still kind of is a coming of age story, but just in a different way, because all of these characters involved are on their own personal journey, the age of where they at, and that's why I still feel like it's a coming of age story. But man, I love this film, and I think I love it more than the first one. And what's cool about both of these movies is it feels like they're mirroring the first two movies. The first 28 Days Later felt more like a creative experiment with the cinematography and its camera choices, and 28 Years Later felt like that too, with all of the different things that David Boyle was doing with the cinematography. The iPhone camera tracking shots where it was like snapshots when certain zombies would die, and just the way that the movie looked because it was shot on an iPhone, and these different ways of shooting. Whereas 28 Weeks Later was more of a traditionally structured and shot movie in regards to the creativity and cinematography of it. And 28 Years Later, Bone Temple is pretty much like that to me. There's not as much inventive cinematography here, but it's still a gorgeous film, and it feels like needed to cost to shot it. And that's what I like about it most, because it doesn't feel like she was trying to follow up David Boyle and shoot it the same way that he did it. No, it looks different. It feels different. And that's what makes a trilogy so good, when each movie is its distinct one. And this was distinctly different than that one, from cinematography and, of course, just the things that it handled. This movie is brutal from a human standpoint. Like, the Jimmy gang in here, they're definitely inspired by Clockwork Orange, because the type of shit that they're on is just ridiculous. There are moments I had to be like, come on, man, because of the type of violence that they dish out. It's fucking insane with what they're doing, and everybody who's in the role did a good job of playing this unhinged, strange group of killers. Of course, Jack, who was hamming this shit up, and he does an excellent job here, constantly doing this. And if you've seen the trailer, there's a reason why he's doing this, so it's not like he's just, I guess, trying to swag it out or whatever. There's a reason why he's always doing his hand movement, and I think it's cool the way that they break that down, and even getting to the reasons as to why the Jimmy gang are who they are and what their purpose here, and why they're just out here inflicting a bunch of damage. And it's just super dope how that ties in with things later on in the movie that gives us such a cool fucking scene at the end of the movie in the third act. Like that scene that you're seeing on the poster with Dr. Ian yelling at the sky. Oh, that shit was so raw, man. But again, I loved it. This one felt just more psychotic. The zombies are in the film, and they definitely give us those moments of people running from zombies and the terror and tension of zombies chasing you. They give us enough of that if we're still on the edge of our seat when we're out in the wooded areas, knowing that zombies are around. Because of course the Jimmy gang, they're just killing shit out of zombies, and it's not scary, but we do have portions of running into random people who end up running into zombies, and those moments are tense and crazy, edge of your seat the way that they're framed. And again, it's shot a little differently. There isn't as much GoPro shots, even though they are in there. They really amplified the tension with the way the film is shot, because everything just feels really close and personal throughout the movie, especially when we get to a scene about a farmhouse and this, oh my god, wow, just the shit that the Jimmy gang does is so unhinged and wild that when you're watching it, you almost can't believe what you're seeing because of the sheer violence on screen. And speaking of the infected, there are a lot of infected in this movie, and I love that this doesn't make anything from 28 years later useless. There's a lot in that movie that is pulled right over to this film, and they utilize it perfectly in a way to put us in a seat of like, what is it to expect from the third movie in this trilogy, because they do something with the infected here that is going to be such a big monumental piece in the next movie. I'm excited to see what the hell they do, and it has to do with Samson, because this thing I'm talking about, I've seen movies play with it in different ways, or this thing will happen at the end of a movie and we never get like a sequel to see where that leads to. So what they did here, I'm like, wow, how are they going to play this? You know what I mean? And speaking of the end, I loved the end. I got goosebumps when a certain thing happened, and I was just geeking in my seat being a fan of this franchise, man. So of course, Ralph Fiennes did his thing as Ian as usual. I think in this film we see even more of him and kind of get a deeper look into his psyche and why he's even doing what he's doing. And again, there's a big coming of age thing with him, and you see and hear it pretty early on, because he kind of just he's narrating out loud because he has nobody to talk to. He's been at the Bone Temple this whole time, so there's a little bit of delusion there, and they play with that delusion to kind of make him feel childlike. And I really loved how his character continued his arc in this film. And Spike isn't the main character here like he was in 28 Years Later, but he still has a lot to do with the film, even though he doesn't speak much. But just the fact that he's with this Jimmy gang, it really continues to push him as he continues his life journey into adulthood. And like I said, Jack O'Connell, just a fantastic villain again, as he was with Remick. You just totally believe the bullshit that he's selling, and boy is it bullshit, but he's selling it so well that you can see why the rest of the gang is following suit with what he's saying. And I love how they play on the idea of cults and just how manipulative they really are. And then I also have to shout out the actress. I don't know what her name is, but I saw her in Captain America, Winter Soldier, and the Falcon series. She played the main villain there. She was in this movie, and she had more to do than I expected from the trailer. Of course, they just showed like quick shots of her. I like how out of everybody in the film, she seemed to be the most grounded in reality when it came to decision making, things going on, how to think, and it added a nice dynamic to the character types in the movie. And the last but not least, shout out to Nia DaCosta again for directing this brilliantly. Such a gorgeous film. There's a shot of Dr. Ian in this field with these like roses, you know, in the ground, and he's just standing still in the middle of the frame, and it is such a gorgeous shot. A lot of gorgeous wide sweeping sequences showing off the greenery of the land, and some really haunting and eerie images that just made this film a great time from an entertainment standpoint. So she did her thing on this, man. So I definitely recommend this movie. I loved it, and right now it's my favorite movie of 2026 without a doubt. And I'm about to go on Amazon and see if the Steelbook is up for pre-order, because this joint was fire and I liked it more than the first one. So if you've seen 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, let me know in the comments what you thought about the film. Did you like it more than 28 Years Later or less? Let me know. Let's have a nice clean discussion. And of course, if you like this kind of content, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, thank you. And until next time, peace. RapNerd Productions, no capping, that's word to mommy. Instead of banking on it, now rapping is just a hobby.